What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Atlantic Files, the number one podcast on the number one division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network. As always, joined by your hosts, myself, Alex Fishbein, and I got Dennis Big Sexy Clausen. What's going on, Dennis?
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah. So we had
My allergies are killing me, though. I think you spread something to me, so I'm very winded.
I threw my allergies all the way up there.
Right. I'm winded more than usual. Usually I'm just winded while eating or putting my shoe on.
I mean, I will say Deanna is also suffering from some pretty bad allergies, so I think it's going around for all of us.
Hey, I didn't do it out there.
I don't know. You seem kind of guilty.
I do have a smile on my face, and you might she might have been walking around a little bit happier lately. Just throwing that out there.
Oh God.
Hey,
anyway.
chubby guys know what they're doing.
Oh, I don't doubt that.
Because we have to work harder because we can't afford to lose what we have.
I mean, see, that's the thing. When, like, for me, it's been like I've been losing my hair forever. So, you got to come up with all the good ways to keep people around rather than just looks. You know what I mean?
So what are you saying?
I'm saying I'm the same way, but just...
Know what I mean? Just, you have a different, not ailment, but...
Yeah. the funny thing was I was thinking ailment, too.
You have a different ailment, yeah.
A different visual ailment.
Yep.
But fantasy football and basketball, we're gonna kind of lump it into the beginning of the episode. How'd your week of fantasy football go this time, outside of the week 1 shit show?
No, it continued. The shit continued. Travis Kelce played like complete ass. He got receptions, but he didn't do anything else, really.
True.
I heard he's laying the bricks on Taylor Swift. That's what my daughter told me. And then I checked with a couple ladies at work who are Swifties, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's a term. And they said that it's not really out in the open yet that Taylor and Travis Kelce are dating. Apparently he tried to give, for what they told me, I don't know any of this stuff, but apparently she tried to give her a friendship bracelet, which I guess that's a big thing among the Swift community.
I think so.
And I guess she declined it initially, but then there was a picture of Taylor and Travis Kelce getting off a plane together, which I later heard that it was photoshopped. So why do I care about any of this stuff? The only reason why I care is because I hope she's not getting in his head and because I drafted him in more than half of my leagues.
This was the first year I've ever gotten Travis Kelce in a fantasy football league.
And you had to take him early this year. You had to take him in the first round because if you were getting Kelce in the first round, you're not getting your hands on him.
Exactly. And I got him, I think I was the number 5 pick. And I got him at that number 5 pick. So
right, which number 5, you know, usually guys like Nick Chubb were going at 5, and we all saw what happened to Nick Chubb.
Yeah, that was rough to watch.
I mean, it's a rough year for injuries because we had J.K. Dobbins, who was supposed to be on a bounce back. J.K. Dobbins tore his Achilles. Joe Burrow has had a horrendous season so far. He may miss next Monday night with a calf injury. Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles 4 plays into the game. Now we have, Nick Chubb is done for the year. Cooper Kupp, who the hell knows when he's going to. This has been a tough year, especially for guys who. Jonathan Taylor, another guy who was a consensus overall first overall pick last year. Now all of a sudden, nothing. This is a rough year
just to include defensive players too. Was Shaq Thompson out for the season now with an ankle injury or something like that?
Fistula.
Fistula. Oh,
Right.
I've had one of those. That's never fun.
So yeah, you got that going on now, and it's just Jamar Chase underperforming. Jamar Chase probably went second overall, third overall. Some people maybe even took him first, thinking he was going to have a better season than. And I know we're only in week 2, and
right.
for those of you who are down and out, you may be 0-2. You may have some guys underperforming. Don't make any rash decisions. Weather the storm. Things will eventually turn around.
I feel like I don't usually hit any panic buttons until around like week 4 or 5.
I do second quarter, week 1. I'm ready to dismantle my entire team.
I mean, I was ready to dismantle a lot of teams after I had Drake London, Joe Burrow, and T. Higgins after week 1. So
Well, Drake London though, a lot of people were very high on him coming into the season, and I'm not trying to be like I told you so kind of guy, but I'm also thinking like in order for a receiver to be good, you got to have like a semi decent quarterback, and not that Desmond Ritter's not a good quarterback, but he only threw 18 passes in week 1.
yep.
He turned it up in week 2, obviously, but as you see with the mistakes going, with more passes, he's going to get more mistakes. So I think he threw like 35 attempts. He did throw a pick, his first interception of his career, but what happens there is like, yes, London's more involved, but do you really want to bank on a guy who's getting passes from Desmond Ritter?
Right. I'd
So
much rather quarterback wise have like Jordan Love or C.J. Stroud over Desmond Ritter. That's
well, see
probably
the
not a
thing.
hot take, but
The thing with Jordan Love is, and the same thing I said to you, is the guy coming in as a starter this year. He didn't really have that much starting experience of anything,
right.
and he was a career 60% completion percentage. Now,
Mm-hmm.
is he playing beyond what he demonstrated? Yeah, but we're only 2 games in.
Right.
We got to see how things come. But the biggest problem are these guys like Bryce Young, guys like
Stroud.
Stroud. At least Stroud can like is semi decent
True.
passer.
True.
But when you got a guy like Anthony Richardson and Bryce Young, guys who aren't very accurate quarterbacks, and they haven't proven that they're really accurate, they
Justin
weren't.
Fields.
Justin Fields, at least Justin Fields is starting to figure things out. But these first year guys, who everybody was like, these guys are going to be great. Anthony Richardson, let me blow my load on him earlier. These guys can't pass yet.
Right.
And things move so much faster at the NFL level that it's going to take them a while to figure out how to get comfortable and how to boost their accuracy. Josh Allen had the same problem when he first started. He was not accurate. He's not the most accurate passer in the world, as demonstrated by his week 1 performance against the Jets. However, he's still, a couple of years ago, it was a career high 66% passing attempts for Josh Allen. So they could turn it around, but right now I'd rather honestly I'd roll with Derek Carr, because at least you know what you're getting out of him, and at
Right.
least you know if you have Chris Olave, you have Derek Carr throwing you the ball. So yeah,
True. Yeah, I mean,
whew, I can't breathe. So
I
allergies are killing me.
oh, I know. Trust me, I've been dealing with those allergies for what feels like 3 months
Yeah, no shit.
now. But I never understood the people that like really wanted to go for like Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, and all those guys in redraft leagues. Like dynasty leagues is one thing because you got those guys for however long you want to keep them. But in redraft leagues, I was like, why would you reach for somebody like Anthony Richardson where it's very hard to come in your rookie year and be a top fantasy quarterback instead of going and getting other rookies in other positions that probably is a little easier to be a higher score in there. Like other rookies that I've played so far in my leagues, like you got Laporta, who is turning out to be a top end tight end. You got even Ferguson and Musgrave looking like they can start becoming better tight ends too, because the tight end position is so fucking weak. And then on top of that, you got like Puka, you got Jaden Reed, you got other rookies in other areas that are, I don't want to say easier to hit on, but like they're better chances than a quarterback which is supposed to be your biggest point getter of your whole team.
Yeah, you're really hit or miss though with quarterbacks, especially early on. It's not
True.
a guy like Jamar Chase when Jamar Chase went number 5 3 years ago, and then Kyle Pitts went right around the same time as Jamar Chase. I think he went fourth. Kyle
Mm-hmm.
Pitts went fourth. So these guys were pretty, more so Jamar Chase, but Jamar Chase was contributing he was playing the best football of his career basically as a rookie. Last year he got hurt, but
Right.
these guys could contribute right away. Quarterbacks, it takes a long time to really get the feel of how things move.
Especially because, excuse me, especially because most of the time they're going to a shitty team and the offensive line is probably shitty. So, like, it's a double edged sword there because they're probably double as shitty.
Well, not a lot of guys are going to be like Joe Burrow. When Joe Burrow came in as a rookie quarterback, he
Mm-hmm.
turned that team around basically immediately.
Oh,
Granted, he
yeah.
only played half the season because he got his knee ripped off, but in that 9 game window that he played, he showed like okay. And then the following season, when the Bengals made the Super Bowl, like okay, like now that's a very rare situation of somebody who's going to come in immediately and
Right.
play better. And Joe Burrow, like the guy missed most of training camp. So for anybody who's down on Joe Burrow, the guy's probably dealing with a calf issue that's probably more significant than people believe. So give him some time. He may miss a couple weeks. Hopefully that's it. But hopefully by the time he comes back, he's healed.
Yeah. Like, not everybody is going to be Patrick Mahomes, who in his technically second season, he only played one game in his rookie year, but in his second season went 12-4 with 50 passing touchdowns. Like, not everyone is going to do that type of thing. And I feel like the moment, and here's my other, I'm going to leave this as a open-ended rant because I could rant about this for a long time, but everyone is blowing their load now on running quarterbacks. When, as a Ravens fan, all I had to hear about was how Lamar Jackson is a running back. But now, Anthony Richardson is the next coming of the greatest black quarterback ever. Jalen Hurts is this. Justin Fields is that. All these guys that can run are now like the greatest thing since sliced bread. But when Lamar was doing it before pretty much all of them, he was just a running back playing quarterback. Just
Well,
doesn't
that
make
never
sense to
really
me.
went away, though.
No, it doesn't. Even though Lamar has a better throwing percentage than all of them except maybe Jalen.
Well, even when Lamar went under Greg Roman, when they were more run heavy under that offense,
Mm-hmm.
um, he's not a horrible passer,
Right,
but I think he's a smarter runner than people. Like you could be a running quarterback all day, that's fine, but you got to be smart about it. I think
right.
he knows how to be smart about it and not take unnecessary chances because then you wind up into an RG3 situation where RG3 was one of the great examples of one of the best, a great college quarterback, a great running quarterback, but couldn't really do much else other than run. And that caught up to him eventually. And you saw Anthony Richardson get hurt in week 1 with an ankle issue. So there's only so much shelf life those guys are going to get if they don't figure out how to pass. There's a reason why they spend a lot of money upgrading offensive lines to keep their quarterback healthy because anybody on defense, those guys are huge. And the ones who aren't huge, they're fast and when they hit you, you're knocked into another planet.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing with like you said about running quarterbacks is like if you don't make your decision within a few seconds, then you gotta just go. Whereas like someone like Justin Fields, it seems like he just thinks, "Oh, I'll just wait till the last possible second because I know I'm fast, and then I'll just try and escape." But like then Justin Fields is waiting way too long, throwing the ball, like taking the most time to throw the ball in almost the entire league, and he's been sacked like 100 times in his whole NFL career so far in 20 some games.
The only guy I'm comfortable doing that, like just running all over the backfield like a lunatic is obviously Mahomes, because he's proven he can make passes across his body, like things that you're not mechanically supposed to do. And I'm not like a quarterback guy. I couldn't tell you the ins and outs and any of that stuff. But if you hear about like all the experts and any of the old quarterbacks, they talk about how his mechanics, fundamentals, like he does all these things wrong and he throws across his body and he throws off one foot, but for some reason the guy makes it work.
True.
So
I was actually watching that quarterback show on Netflix, and they even showed Patrick Mahomes working on all sorts of different ways to throw the ball off balance.
hey,
So
it
it's
works.
something he practices. So yeah,
It
like
works.
I would trust him too, for
I've
sure.
been watching Sopranos lately.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched the full show of Sopranos. I've only seen like half of it.
Well, it's good because I haven't watched it in about 20 years, so now it's like a lot of stuff I forgot about.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think that show came out, I was like 14.
Okay, I was about to say it was
So,
a long time ago, wasn't it?
yeah, I mean, that's definitely a long time ago. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff I forgot about it. So that's why it's kind of good and it's funny because there are things that I forgot about it.
I do like it because it's one of those shows that has like a whole range of jokes that aren't just like, like corny jokes or anything. They're kind of like hidden in, but some are in your face, and it just like it goes together so well.
Oh, it's good stuff.
Yeah, easily
But
top show of all time.
I got to be careful though, because if I turn it on, like I don't want to turn it off. So I got to be selective on when I start it.
Yep, I definitely feel that. I do the same thing with The Wire. Once I start watching The Wire, I can't stop.
Never watched it.
Oh, you definitely have to watch that. Do you have HBO Max?
Yeah, I have everything. I literally have everything. I just don't watch it. So I said, you know
Well,
what?
whenever
Damn it,
you're
I'm
done
going to watch it.
Sopranos, you should watch The Wire.
Okay.
Do you like cop shows?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, you'll love it then. Definitely. So let's move on.
I like cops, but that doesn't mean I don't. I like black people too. So just put that out there.
Of course. Moving on to some Atlantic Division news. Kelly Oubre Jr. Oh, you actually don't like black people?
No, I mean that was a joke. No, I love black people.
No, I know.
But you know, people. He can't do that joke.
Yeah.
It's like it's a joke. Relax.
I know. We're never really serious on this show.
My wife's Arabic, so that proves I'm not racist. I gotta. It's not really the same thing, but I mean, so yeah.
I mean, it's.
Anyways, come on. I'm just digging myself into a worse hole.
Kelly Oubre Jr. is signing, according to Woj, with the Sixers, signing a 1-year deal. And this is something that a few weeks back you said the Sixers should do. I agreed with that. I thought that the Sixers were just going to drag their feet and not actually sign anybody. But it finally is happening, and they finally get a bench piece to upgrade from all the pieces that they lost.
You sure that's going to be a bench piece right there?
Well, that's the thing. I don't know what is going to happen with both. Because, like, some of the trade talks have had PJ Tucker included with James Harden. And obviously last year, PJ Tucker was the starting power forward. So I don't know if they're going to want to stay with that. Or maybe they slot Oubre in at the small forward and put Tobias at the power forward, which would make more sense to me.
Well, even the way the roster's constructed now, like, I see Kelly Oubre, if he doesn't start consistently, you know damn well he could start at least half the games.
Oh, yeah.
And how much longer do you think we love PJ Tucker. Everybody knows that. We've ranted and raving about PJ Tucker for years.
Yep.
But the guy's also, he kind of limits you in some ways. Sure. And he's almost 40. So, there's only so much shelf life a guy like PJ Tucker has. And there's only so you're only going to get so creative with a guy like that on the floor.
Right.
It's like having Ben Simmons on the floor in a way. Like outside of the corner three, what can PJ Tucker do?
Yeah, it's really just like defensive
Nothing.
toughness and a corner three, and that's it.
And he doesn't even really get a lot for like supporting stats. He's just, he's just there. It's my dog.
Dog's getting attitude.
Well, he's an asshole because literally I could take this guy out all day long, and yeah.
No, yeah, my dogs get the same way. But yeah, the PJ Tucker is just like, I know he's there for defensive purposes, and the only issue to me is, say you put Kelly Oubre in at small forward, move Tobias to power
Did you hear me yell at my dog?
No.
Okay, good, because I had to show him who was boss.
Nope, we're good. No calls from PETA for this episode.
They would have been called if they would have heard that. But I'm like, seriously, dude, you had like hours to break my balls.
I know.
You know?
The only saving grace I have with my dogs is they were at the in-laws' house all day since I had to be in the office. So they were playing with the puppy that they had. So those two are wiped out.
Oh, they're wiped.
Yeah, they've been playing all day.
I mean, I want to tell my dog, now all of a sudden you want to go out, you spend all day trying to find some place to pee where nobody finds it. Now all of a sudden you want to be sophisticated. You know what I mean? Like, these dogs think they're like smart.
They always take the longest to pee or poop when you have the least amount of time.
Right. And it's always at the worst possible time.
Yep.
You could sit down, like I know when I sit down, I have a whole setup. Like, I get my blanket, and then I put my iPad. I make sure I have a drink. I make sure I use the bathroom. That way, I don't have to get up for like another hour.
Mm-hmm.
And minimum. That's a fat guy move right there. As soon as I'm situated, this asshole comes over and it's like looking at you, and I'm like, dude, you literally saw me walking around. Like, you couldn't come up and say something to me at the. It's like when you go to bed at night, all of a sudden I gotta go out. I'm like, dude, I was just laying down. That's kind of a dickheaded move.
I agree. It's like when you ask either like your kid or your wife or your like sibling or whatever.
Don't get me started with that.
It's like when you ask, do you need anything? They say no, then you sit down, and then it's like, actually.
You know what I thought you were going to say? Because my wife does this too, and I've thought about divorcing her a couple times because of this. You could literally go to any place and go, hey, I'm getting McDonald's. Do you want anything? And then you get home, next thing you know, half your fries are fucking gone.
Yep. Oh, no, that too.
And I'm like, hey, like, there's a reason I asked you if you wanted stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I do not want to share my food. And I know it's easy for everybody's like, oh, that's why he looks like that, because he's not sharing his food. It's very funny. I don't want to share my food.
Yeah. I never grew up as like a food share. Like, some people share food with families. They like, they'll get different things. They'll be like, hey, you want some of mine? You want some of mine? Our family didn't do that.
No, I don't want to do that. That's why everybody and I hate when my wife was doing this too. She was like volunteering my dessert to other people. Like, ooh, you got caramel? Ooh, Ma, you want to try this? It's like, woo. Anybody consult with me?
You can buy your own. That's what it's on the menu for.
Right. Like, if you want to try it, order it.
Exactly.
I
got this because I wanted it.
I know that I like it. I don't have to try anything because that's what I've ultimately landed on this, so this is what I want.
Exactly.
And don't volunteer my dessert to other people. I love you, but don't do it.
Completely agree.
Now, if somebody wants to give me some dessert, that's fine.
But the other thing is, too, I won't specifically ask for it. But if someone's like, oh, I'm full, do you want the rest of this? Sure.
Right. Okay. Which I know for me that's going to happen whenever I go out with, my mother-in-law or my wife or something. Half of it's going to get eaten, and then the other half's going to be like, do you want the rest of my cheesecake? Well, I mean, I guess.
It's like
uh,
you always say like I guess, but
if I
deep down
have
you're
to.
like, yes, come on.
I'm sitting there eyeing it because I'm always the first guy to finish eating first
Right, right.
because I'm a slob. And the next thing is, all right, I guess I'll. But then you got to play it off like you're full. Like,
I know.
oh, I'm stuffed, but I'll try.
I'll try and make room.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm aroused.
Meanwhile, you've been planning which bite you're going to take first for the last 30 minutes.
Right.
But anyway, back to Kelly Oubre.
Yeah, when somebody's like, "Hey, you want the rest of my dessert?" Like my underwear sticks to my penis because I start to get like, I get chubbed up. Like I'm like a 14-year-old. I get so excited. Remember when you were in high school, like at 14, and like you couldn't control things, and you're like, "Wait a second, I'm trying to pee, but like I gotta peel this off of my." Just can we just go on, move? Just,
Yes. But no, the signing from Kelly Oubre I think is big for the
Oh
Sixers.
yeah, Kelly
obviously.
Oubre. Yeah.
Yeah.
He probably had the same problem, but he was 14.
I
Except for
mean,
him, he probably had to peel his dick off of his kneecap.
true. But also, I mean, he gets pretty much any girl he wants because almost every girl talks about how he's one of the hottest in the NBA. So
He's a good-looking guy.
he is. He's a good-looking guy.
But we don't give a shit about that. All I
No.
care about is what he's doing on the floor. And I've always been a big Kelly Oubre guy. Like, you know that. Like, I've always been like, Kelly Oubre. Like, I like Kelly Oubre. I think he's a talented player.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be really... I think that's like Philadelphia really lucked out by getting him.
I'm very surprised that nobody else tried to sign him.
It does not make sense to me.
Yeah, but even Charlotte, like, why not bring him back? Because what the hell else are you doing?
Well, they get they only like felons and wife beaters on their team, apparently.
True. But even, like, they're... Almost all the teams in the league could have used Kelly Oubre.
There's not one team in the league who couldn't have used Kelly Oubre.
Exactly.
Not one.
So, I don't understand how
Except the
it got
Spurs,
this
maybe,
far.
because the Spurs suck. They ain't going to do nothing, but...
True. But yeah, he could fill a role. I mean, he fills the quintessential role that every team needs. So the fact that the Sixers got him for seemingly cheap, I mean, it's only a 1-year deal, so I don't know exactly what it all entails just yet. But whether James Harden stays or goes, he's still going to provide a lot of value. Especially, say James Harden does stay. I was just looking at some stats that people were tweeting out, and Kelly Oubre is second in the league at shot attempts on assist opportunities. Which, if James Harden is dishing the ball, Oubre's taking the shot, and I'm fine with that.
Look at you, big shot, throwing all these big stats.
I'm tuned into the stat world now.
No, but imagine if he imagine if he went to the Knicks, they could use him. The Nets could use him.
The Celtics
Sixers,
could use him.
The Celtics would have hit the lottery if they got him.
Oh yeah,
because we all know Porzingis ain't staying healthy. We all know Robert Williams certainly ain't staying healthy.
Nope.
And the only guys who may stay healthy Tatum's durable. Jaylen Brown gets like stupid things that keep him out for like 2-3 games.
Yeah. It really is always something really dumb.
Stupid. It's not like anything good.
It's like hangnail out for 2 games.
But Kelly Oubre would have fit in really well with a lot of teams.
Like, imagine the Celtics with their normal starting 5 and then being able to bring in Malcolm Brogdon and Kelly Oubre off the bench.
Well, that's a Malcolm Brogdon wants to be there.
Well, yeah. I mean,
apparently his feelings are hurt.
Yeah, as if he didn't get traded before. Wasn't he traded from the
Indiana.
Pacers to the Bucks, or vice versa?
No, he went from the Bucks to the Pacers to the Celtics.
Right. So, like, now he's offended that he's going to get traded a third time?
Yeah, I don't know what the problem is. It's like, Okay, you were going to get traded. Big deal. You're not. There were questions on whether you're going to stay healthy. There were questions about your arm. Like,
And about how much you were going to cost contract wise.
right. So that's why they trade. That's why they were willing to trade you.
Exactly. Like, yes, you won Sixth Man of the Year, but
So did Marcus Smart.
exactly.
Where did that get him? In Memphis.
So did Lou Williams, and Lou Williams went to damn near every team in the
Get
league.
wings at the strip club.
Exactly.
Sixth man of the league had to sneak out of a bubble and go get wings.
And that's 3 times Sixth Man of the League.
Right. He just ain't your normal sixth man of the year. Like, somebody could have brought him wings.
There's no way that they couldn't just like get DoorDash or something.
When I think of a bubble, though, I think of like Lou like going up and like unzipping, sneaking out, and then like zipping it back up. Like,
I think
not
of,
a real.
Every time I think of the bubble, I think of in SpongeBob, the thing that Sandy Cheeks lives in, like the big air container.
Right.
I think of that.
What is
like
Sandy?
big...
Is she a squirrel?
Yeah.
Why is she living underwater?
Well, so that's the thing. Her big bubble is like an air tank.
I know, but why?
I honestly don't remember the backstory of why she's down there.
I mean, she could literally just live above the out of the water.
I think technically she was some sort of like scientist.
Okay.
But I'm not really sure.
Now, what was SpongeBob? Was he a sponge or was he another kind of...
sea sponge.
Oh, a sea sponge. So he wasn't like a dish sponge.
No.
Well, I learned something new here.
Sea sponge. But yeah, all in all, I think Kelly Oubre is going to be an extremely valuable pickup. And I'm just curious to see the lineups, the starting lineups specifically, that come out of this. But the thing is, and we'll move into this now, it all comes down to fucking James Harden still. And
I mean, I don't know why we're still talking about this. We literally are 2 weeks away from training camp starting.
I know. And that's the thing is, I just want to get rid of him because it's going to be a media circus throughout training camp, preseason, everything, especially if he does the fat suit bullshit. If he starts trying to make life miserable for the Sixers and everything. The Sixers just went through that not too long ago with Ben Simmons holding out. Now they're going to have to go through this stupid shit with James Harden. So now
Welcome to Brooklyn 2.0.
True.
This is why...
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, honey.
No, go ahead.
I said this is why the Nets could barely... If they barely make a play-in... If they barely make the play-in tournament... I will be so much I will enjoy watching Nets games again. Just because of the circus, it just takes away from everything. And you're exactly right. This is what it's going to turn into, the circus.
Yeah.
Ad nauseum. It's literally, that's all anybody's going to talk about.
I know. And it's literally just going to be every single day on every single network, and everyone's going to be like, what will James Harden do today? How is he going to distract from the team today? When are they going to trade him? Who's talking to the team now? And it's like, and then, I mean, the media was the one that said Daryl Morey was the one who ended the trade talks, but now, according to Brian Windhorst, the Clippers were the ones that ended the trade talks because they were like, all right, if you're not budging, we're not going to entertain this.
But nobody knows what they're talking about.
No.
Honestly, when these people are like, well, my sources, for one, what sources? The janitor? Is that your source?
Exactly.
So
and it's always like source close to so-and-so's camp.
Right.
But
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't believe it. I don't believe anything.
I know. And I'm just... It's tiring. Like, I just want to get to basketball. I don't give a fuck about this. Just move on.
I'm going to be like that one-up guy, but be like, we'll try having 3 of them with Kyrie, KD, and James Harden.
I know. When Brooklyn was dealing with it, I was like, thank God we don't have to deal with that.
I'm not even kidding. I almost stopped being a Nets fan until they were off that team.
I wouldn't blame you
You
because
know,
it
I like
just...
other teams.
Yeah. Sacramento Kings, much less dramatic.
That's why when the Nets got out, I was like, thank God the Kings are doing, even though they got eliminated earlier than, anticipated. But I was like, thank God that the Kings are here because I love the Kings.
Yeah. They're fun to watch. Especially, like with League Pass, I can watch any fucking team I want.
Right.
So if it's just going to be all this stupid shit, like I'll just go watch anybody else. I'll watch the fucking Orlando Magic for all I care.
Right. And we do not, if for anybody wondering, we do not share a League Pass.
No, of course not. And we don't write it off our taxes. Exactly.
Know what I mean?
Get yourselves a Jewish accountant.
Yeah, an ugly one.
Oh god. But yeah, we're done with James Harden. I don't feel like talking about his bullshit. With that being said, have you seen the NBA's new resting rules?
Honestly, I did, but I didn't really pay that much attention to it because I'm so sick of it that I don't care.
So, let me bring this up here.
Uh-oh, here we go.
I don't have a clip this time.
That's okay. At least you get something.
But I have an ESPN article where they talk about the new rules, what they are, so on and so forth. So, for those listening and not watching on YouTube, what are the new rules? So, they first implemented the resting policy back in 17-18. That was
not the year, the 2017.
Yeah. 2017-18 season.
Like you're thinking like the covered wagons here.
That was the first time they prohibited resting healthy players for any of like the nationally televised games and things like that. And if you violated it, you would be fined at least $100,000. And then there was rules that prohibited teams from resting multiple players or resting players for away games. Those are now going to be replaced with a more stricter policy. More stricter is definitely not good English, but you people know what I'm talking about. They're calling this the PPP, the Player Participation Policy. Under the policy, it says that is expected to be approved Wednesday. Teams must comply with these rules. No more than one star player is unavailable for the same game. As an example, the Boston Celtics would have to ensure that either Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum is available for each game, unless both players are determined to be injured. They would not be allowed to rest both players in the same game.
I mean, are we? You can come up with any ailment on the planet you want to.
Agreed, and I'm very interested to see how they actually enforce that.
If I say to you, I have a headache, how are you going to prove that?
Right.
I have a headache and I have a stomach ache, and my leg hurts.
When they talk about like calf contusion, which essentially just means bruise,
right?
Like, how are you going to deem?
How about this one? I'm too depressed tonight. I mean, so what are we doing here?
That one especially, because the moment you say, "Are you really depressed?" then it causes
then you got a whole nother problem.
Yep, then it's an uproar.
I commend the NBA. Were you done? I mean, I think we.
There's still some more rules, but
all right, go ahead.
So the other one.
But I mean, I think we got it in a nutshell, though, right?
Kind of. So that was one.
Okay,
You can't rest two star players in the same game. Number 2 is teams must ensure that star players are available for national TV and the in-season tournament games. So you can't rest them for the in-season tournament. Then 3 is teams must maintain a balance between the number of one-game absences for a star player in home games and road games, with a preference for those absences to happen in home games. So essentially, they just want to make sure they're not being rested more often in away games, because if they because essentially you have more chances to see them at a home game if you're around that area than they would be going to an away game. That's essentially all that is. And then number 4, teams must refrain from any long-term shutdown or near shutdown when a star player stops participating in games or plays in a materially reduced role in circumstances affecting the integrity of the game. Essentially what the Thunder did with Gilgeous-Alexander at the end of the season, when they knew they weren't competing for anything, they just shut him down. This says, example is when the Wizards shut down Bradley Beal for the last 10 games of the last season with what they were deeming, quote, knee soreness. Those kind of things, the teams would be investigated and probably fined for violating this policy.
How are you going to prove his knee's sore?
I have no idea. And the last one is teams must ensure that healthy players resting for a game are still present and visible to fans.
For one, this is why people hate basketball. When you have to come out with a thing that says you make sure they play, for one, they're getting paid millions of dollars and you still have to remind them to play.
Yep.
The only thing that's going to get through to them is to hit them in the wallet.
Exactly.
If you find the team, who cares? Each owner's worth $1 billion. Think the owner's going to care? No. Obviously, the Warriors don't care. They've been paying luxury taxes for years. So, my whole thing is like, NBA, it's cute that you were trying, but for one, you kind of created this by creating prima donna players.
Yep.
2, why are you going to take it out on the people who, one bad apple ruins it for the bunch or whatever the hell it is? But so now you have teams that weren't violating it who could use it when it is beneficial from a strategy standpoint, like a wise thing to do, to guys who are probably, you can think of like maybe 5 to 10 guys who are like habitual resters.
Yep.
Who kind of ruin, and it's always the same guys, the same clowns that have made a nightmare for everybody. And I'm talking about Kevin Durant, talking about Kawhi Leonard, I'm talking about Kyrie Irving, like guys like that who are the superstars of the league. Now, all of a sudden, because they act like a bunch of morons, now the guys who actually would benefit from having a night off. And for one, too, if you're I didn't even finish that sentence, but who cares? If you're a player, all right, and you go and you sit and you're like Anthony Edwards was 100% spot on. That's why I love him. I'm like the dude's playing. He's like, people like pay to watch me play. Like, don't take this for granted. There are parents who can only afford to take their kids once a year, and some once every couple years.
Yeah.
Because it ain't cheap to go in an NBA game.
Even the tanking teams now are pretty expensive. The cheapest I've ever seen was the thick of the Sixers tanking days. You could buy like a row of seats for $10. And that was because that was historically bad. But even the teams
and $10 is $10 to some people.
True. But even the Spurs and teams like that now that are tanking, they're still pretty expensive. Like nosebleeds are still like $50 a seat.
Oh, the Spurs could take all day, but people are still going to go to that and watch them play.
Exactly. So none of that shit is cheap, especially to people who might be in a hard time, but their kid just idolizes, their favorite player and just wants to see him, and that's all he wants to do, and maybe that's what he wants for Christmas or she wants for Christmas.
And they look forward to it.
I also agree with Anthony Edwards. Exactly. And it is dumb that they have to actually put rules into effect just to get you to fucking play the game.
I think you just got to find people. like significant amount of money
Yeah.
in order for this to stop.
Or if it was that big of a deal, maybe start the season like 2 weeks, 3 weeks earlier so there's no back-to-backs.
But that's not going to happen because they'll figure out how to they'll bitch about that, you know. So there's always constant bitching.
I know. And it's funny too because now we have all the technology and research and science to show the best ways to recover after games and training and everything, best ways to train, best ways to eat, best ways to do this and that. And like one of the things is like, yeah, well, players need rest to make them last the longest. And it's like, okay, but are they doing all the other things to last that long too? Like we know LeBron was playing damn near every game for 15, 16 seasons until he got older because he invested in a fucking private chef. He invested all this money into like a private gym, private trainers, all this kind of stuff, and has been doing all that on his own time off the court. So what are these other guys doing? Are they doing that too? Are they like that's on them?
Not everybody could afford that, but that's where the team has to step in. And I mean, sure,
Kawhi Leonard could afford it.
Oh, absolutely. He just doesn't want to play. I mean, he could show up at the Colorado State game with no problem.
Yeah. Tyler says, I agree. If you miss games, you should lose money.
Tyler.
That's the only way it's going to change anything. It's really it. So let's get to our last topic here. Since I have to get off a little early, we're going to cut this episode
of
short.
The podcast, not like get off as in like...
They don't know that.
That's true.
Our Central Division preview. So we're at the second to last.
The Bulls suck. Giannis is going to get traded at some point. The Pistons are going to still suck. The Cavs are probably going to finish first. And then who else am I leaving out?
Did you say Cleveland already?
Yeah.
Detroit?
They're going to suck.
Indiana?
They'll finish second.
I can see that.
So I'm gonna go the Cavs. Mm-hmm. I think the Bucks might take a step down because I don't trust them. You know, if the Bucks don't finish 2, they're gonna finish 3. But I don't trust them to stay healthy. The Bulls will be lucky to go 500, and the Pistons are gonna be playing for ping pong balls again. So, yeah.
Yeah, the Pistons still won't be good. I hope Cade Cunningham finally stays healthy because I just want to see him play.
I know, but please, huh? Don't get me started.
I'm just saying I hope. I'm not saying I think he will.
But here's the thing. All right, I said it like 4 or 5 months ago. I was like, the beginning of the Giannis era in Milwaukee is going to start, and it's going to start this season.
Mm-hmm.
And it's already started because it started when he didn't agree to an extension. And he made it known why he wasn't agreeing to an extension. That team is not in good shape. I mean, you had to bring back Chris Middleton. Yeah, you had to bring back Brook Lopez because you're not going to replace him with anybody better.
Right.
But they're not. That doesn't mean that they're the best fit for your team because they're not.
Oh, yeah. And he specifically talked about how he's a winner. So if there's a situation that's better for him, he's not ruling it out.
Yeah,
he
but
specifically said that.
You know what situation would be better for him is if he actually played better than he has.
If he could develop a consistent jump shot.
Don't say that. Twitter
keyword for the Giannis police. Consistent.
And like I said, there's a difference between effectiveness and efficiency. He's not efficient all the time. Can he give you 40 points? Yeah, absolutely. But is he going to shoot 20 for 58 to get there? Maybe. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Like
Tyler says, Dennis is the future.
Thank you, Tyler. Appreciate you. glad to see you.
Yeah.
But is it gonna? Nice to see Tyler. I know it really is. We were worried about him there.
I know.
We thought he was laying pipe. That's why he was too good for us. Which I don't blame
Exactly.
him, because if that was the reason he wasn't around,
He had too many hoes. Didn't have time to watch our little
different area
podcast
codes.
here. Exactly.
But if Giannis, for one, before he starts pointing fingers and everything, he's got to take a long, hard look in the mirror. For one, the guy's never healthy. And I know I say that all the time. Everybody's like, Dennis doesn't think anybody. So, well, they're not, for one. But two, Giannis is at the top of the list of guys who are just constantly banged up.
Right.
Back injuries, knee injuries. I mean, the guy didn't play in the playoffs. Knee injury.
Yep.
Back. Both knees. Flip a coin. That's depends. You don't know what knee is. Now that's a guy you're never going to be able to prove is healthy or not, because he's appeared on the injury report with every ailment on the planet. So there's no way in hell you're going to be able to determine if he's really healthy or not. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the thing that worries me about the Bucks the most is how old the team is getting. Like their top guys from most years of NBA experience to least 15, the two Lopez brothers, 14 for Drew Holiday, 11 and 11 for Middleton and Crowder, 10 years in the league for Giannis, and then the only other guys getting minutes would probably be like Connaughton, Portis, I guess now Malik Beasley, and then Grayson Allen. Those guys are at 8.875 for amount of years in the league so far.
But yeah, that's what I was saying though. Like, you have to pay them because you're not going to get somebody else that's better, but they're not exactly really good fit for your team anymore.
Exactly. And
I'd rather have Brooke Lopez than Chris Middleton.
right.
I mean,
I
but
mean,
if Chris Middleton could stay healthy, the Bucks are a different team. But he can't.
especially these last few seasons. Ever since they won the finals, he has just barely played.
And then Drew Holiday, Chris.
That too. Drew Holiday can't do everything, so he's starting to kind of burn out and start to see some wear and tear. Giannis always sees some wear and tear because his main part of his game is just trying to blast through people all the time. And then Brooke Lopez is usually on the healthier side. But
at
after
least
that,
Brooke Lopez evolved throughout his career.
true. But after that, like what Crowder played 18 games last season?
At about 2 minutes per game.
Yeah. And then on top of that, you have Connaughton, who usually is somewhat healthy. But he is averaging around between like 65 to 68 games a season. And then Bobby Portis is probably like your healthiest guy outside of Brooke Lopez.
So for one, Budenholzer got hung out to dry because it's not his fault.
True.
Even though he's not a great coach, but you know. But the problem is, like I said, Giannis has not. As he gets older, he's going to get significantly worse because his whole game is predicated on just dominating everybody.
Right.
As he gets older and weaker and slower, which is going to happen because he can't beat Father Time, so it's inevitable. It always catches up to you. Unless he figures out how to shoot the ball like Brooke Lopez did later in his career, which is why he's still going.
Even LeBron.
LeBron's gotten a little bit. I mean, LeBron at least is is a good passer. He's decent on the 3-point shot. Maybe 32% somewhere. Like that's decent, right? Giannis can't do anything, and he can't even make a free throw.
Right.
That's
once
bad.
His power and athleticism goes, like once he starts reaching like 33, 34, I'm curious to see where his career goes because you're usually not doing all that at that age. LeBron's the only one that's doing that at that age. That's it. We've seen one guy.
I mean, if he's got better over the years, like if he becomes a better free throw, like even Andre Drummond improved at times free throw shooting.
True.
Giannis, you don't get nothing. Like, yeah, he improved, but you still can't trust him to go. Like, he's a liability when it comes to, like, there's times you can't even put him on the floor late in the game because you can't trust him to make a free throw.
Was it the Sixers game, the one where Montrezl Harrell fought him in the ladder that he missed like 20 free throws?
Yeah, then he got mad and wanted to stay. All of a sudden, he never wants to work on his free throw shooting, but all of a sudden that day when old Jim Smith just wanted to go home because he'd been working 12 hours that day, you got an idiot coming over throwing the ladder like a bum.
Exactly.
Jim Smith's like, I just want to go home. I've been working 14 hours, man. I'm exhausted. Now because of you want to sit here and shoot free throws. Now I got to stay here longer. I got to call my wife. I'm gonna come home. The fucking ZD's gonna have a tinfoil over it.
Gonna have to reheat it, and
Right.
it's never as good reheated.
I missed my granddaughter's dance recital, but that's okay. Giannis wanted to shoot free throws all of a sudden, and he had to pick that time to do his free throws.
That's why Montrezl Harrell's the man of the people.
You know what? Shout out to him because at least somebody stuck up for that guy.
Exactly.
I think Montrezl Harrell could take him.
Oh, for sure.
The guy's a criminal.
Montrezl Harrell is the kind of
He's
guy
tough.
that he's gonna fight dirty or any way he can.
He's probably got a gat. Probably has a gat in his shorts.
I don't know if he's Gilbert Arenas level, but
hey, I'm sure he has access to a gat. Do people say gat anymore?
that's a good question. I haven't heard it said in a long time.
So automatically, because I'm saying it automatically, that means nobody's saying it anymore. Imagine if he was running though, and just a gun dropped.
That would be
Awesome.
honestly hilarious.
Be great.
But anyway,
John Morant would be back, and he'd get all nervous. He'd be like, "That's not mine. I swear."
I swear it was his.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see Cleveland also winning the division, and the thing with Milwaukee too is they're getting older. It's a brand new coach. We haven't seen Adrian Griffin as a head coach at all. So
Apparently that don't matter. Apparently experience doesn't matter anymore, though.
I guess. And the Bucks defense wasn't as good as it normally was last year compared to the years prior. So yeah, I don't know. I don't see them winning. I think Cleveland will win the division, especially because Cleveland will have another year of chemistry under their belt and another year of Evan Mobley and Garland getting better. And then I do
But is
think the
Jared
Pacers,
Allen going to stay there?
True. That's a big if.
But honestly, I think they'll be better if they get rid of him.
They definitely could be.
Because I think he's capped out finally.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. But I think the Pacers will definitely challenge the Bucks. I think the Bucks will still come in second and the Pacers in third, but they'll be very close. And then I see the Bulls in fourth and the Pistons in last. The Bulls just need to have a fire sale already and then just get it over with.
Well, honestly, like I am really rooting for Lonzo Ball. Like you could say all you want about him and stuff, but that's unfortunate. You could tell the guy wants to be out there.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I hope he does get healthy sooner rather than later, and we see him on the court at some point soon because the team is better with him on it. So.
And Ben Simmons says he's going to be an all-star this year, so look out, people.
That'll be interesting to see.
Imagine if he is.
That'd be insane, to be honest. I'd be like, you know what? I was wrong. I would admit it. But until then, I'm right. But that is it here for us. I need to get my ass out of here so I'm not late.
Somebody at work told me to do this so that she knows that I'm saying hello to her. So I'll do that. Want to say hello to Aunt Polly.
Hi, Aunt Polly.
Aunt Polly, how are you, lovely Aunt Polly? Tyler, thank you as always. Mohammed, wherever you are, come on back.
I hope you're doing well, Mohammed. I hope you're alive, too. Because we were worried if Tyler was alive because he wasn't here for a long time. Mohammed, we hope you're doing well. Our guy, Mario. Do you think
they finally found his cave?
They might.
And he's at Guantanamo Bay right now?
Or he might just be trying to find a new one.
Right. Again, people joke.
Exactly. Just messing around here, people.
Yeah.
But that is it for us. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching.
Not everybody named Muhammad is a terrorist.
No,
just 3/4 of them.
Thank you for listening. We'll catch you guys next week. Make sure you subscribe, like, hit the bell for notifications, let you know when we go live, and rate, review, subscribe on everywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, all of those. We will catch you guys next week. We are the #1 podcast, the #1 division in the NBA.
Peace. And remember, if she ain't 280, she ain't a lady.